So there's a 40-day period. Here's where, you know, when the Antichrist rules, he's going to get 40 days to strut his stuff. When Christ dies, he dies for 3 days, and then he goes for 40 days until he ascends up into heaven. Now, which one do you think is the rapture? Is the rapture when Christ dies, or is the rapture when he ascends up to heaven 43 days later? A day is a year is a day. Or 43 days, because he died, and then 3 days, and then 40 days. So I see where people get the rapture and like the different timelines confused, because I still am kind of confused about it. But I'll willingly admit it, because maybe somebody else has an answer that I don't have, and then by me saying I don't know, somebody can say it and it makes sense, and then it clicks, like, oh, okay. But there's a reason why they're going to have the Antichrist playing the Christ role, and then he dies for the 3 days, or there's like a rumor, and that's what Trump's going to do. There's going to be some kind of rumor that he's dead. It's coming up. So with the Passover, people thinking that it's a Passover. But see, when May 21st comes around, 2020, I feel like that's going to be that's where they're pushing the rapture, and then they're going to push 5 months from that time, because that's when it just seems like at that point, that's the final absolute like hit in America, and then the rapture happens. Because when Harold Camping told us about this back on May 21st, 2011, that God's judgment was coming on the earth, well, what do you think this is? This is judgment. The entire world's shutting down. It's never happened before in my lifetime. And those 21 days of Daniel, starting on May 1st, April 30th into May 21st, oh man, Trump said it. It's going to be a tough 3 weeks, like we've never seen before. He's talking about the coronavirus. He just got the test today, a negative. It's a false negative, because he will die of the virus. It'll be the rumor. It'll be the rumor out of probably 2 other stories, because it's never going to be cut and dry and just clear. As his airplane's flying, Air Force One. See, if the rapture happens, this is what I think is going to happen, because Nebuchadnezzar asked me to interpret his dream, and he told me to interpret it, tell him what he was thinking without him saying it. And then, so because he has the world script, what you do is you try to figure out what the world script is. Donald Trump, when he is on the airplane and the rapture happens, if they try to play this rapture on April 7th or April 8th, because April 7th would be the 2-year period since wars and rumors of wars started, he could be flying through the air, and maybe Pence is there, and they're both on Air Force One, and the rapture happens, and I said this in the video before, then the pilot, he disappears, because he's a saved individual, and he goes up and his clothes are left behind, and then Trump disappears. But then it's not going to be clear that it's the rapture, because that's why Trump is coming back 3 days later. And he might not even be pronounced dead. He might be pronounced missing as the airplane goes into the ocean, and they're looking for him for 3 days, just like Jonah. Because they're going to, if you believe that part, if you believe he's like the Christ figure, you're going to believe that, well, he got swallowed up by a great big fish. Other people are Or another story might be that he walked on water to get away. He was walking on water, and then a great big fish swallowed him up. That'd be pretty funny if they had like footage of that. So that's one way of spinning it. So he pops back up 3 days later, but the only way that he'll be thought of as the Christ is because he died for 3 days. And then vice versa, the wounded beast with the head and then did live, he's going to rise up. They're both going to rise up at the same time. And that's why they each have 40 days. When Christ dies for 3 days, the wounded head beast is a 3-day, and then he rises up and he has 40 days. And Christ has 40 days. Whether it's simultaneously or 3 days in between, or a week in between, because they still got a party for 3.5 days. Because April 7th, as of today, when Kleck shows you those pills, the T50, just go T minus 50. And from 50 days, as of today, April 2nd, 2020, the 45-day period comes up in 5 days, which does land on April 7th, which is a 2-year period since the wars and rumors of wars, which would be a great time for, well, today's the 2nd, so 3rd is Friday, 4th, 5th, Monday, 6th, 7th. Was that Wednesday? No, I think I'm... Hold on. Let me check this calendar. Alright, it's the 7th is Tuesday. And Wednesday is the 8th. And apparently the Passover is on the 8th this year. And it's a week long. It goes all the way to Thursday. Now, 2616? Man, I think it's too obvious if it happens on the 8th of April. It's more likely that come the 15th, going into the 16th, because the 16th is the last day. It's an 8-day period, right? Or is it 7 full days? And, well, Kleck said he will die for you, on April 21st of 2020. That's on a Tuesday. But anyway, when his airplane hits the ground or the ocean, that's one way of saying it. And then at the same time, if you are an alien believer, you'll just believe that they got abducted by aliens. That way it's all about covering everybody's mindset and what they believe. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone is exactly what it is. You're throwing this stone out there. It's a lying ass story, but you say it. You speak the way Kleck does. When he goes straight down the middle with the Word of God, and then you interpret it this way or you interpret it that way, it's on you. So they gotta make sure they have you covered, because everybody has to believe something that they're pushing other than the truth. So you gotta have all dispositions of everybody's beliefs and make up a damn story that will fit their beliefs, and then they will believe that. Just like people walking around with the mask on. Look, if it makes you feel comfortable, go ahead and wear a mask. If it makes you feel comfortable wearing gloves, go ahead and wear the gloves. I'm just going to go about my life normally, and if I'm forced to do certain things, I'm not going to do it. And then that's how they separate the wheat from the tares. When they go with this chip thing in your head or your arm or whatever, your wrist, what's going to happen if you do get it? Are you going to die? Are you going to go to hell? If you receive the mark of the beast? No, you're not. What's going to happen is you just get separated from the wheat from the tares, because you are not relying on God, that the positive energy that comes from this, the flow that's just taking over, the flood that you can't stop. There's no stopping it. But you can't see that. That's why you'll accept whatever. That's why you'll accept this. That's why There's these people out there that accept money for doing all kinds of things because they think that the money's going to continue on. And even if the money doesn't continue on, they were promised by broken promises. So the 21st of April, Kleck said he would die for you. Chapter 6 in Daniel. See, it pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom. And over these three presidences, of whom Daniel was first, that the princes might give account unto them, and the king should have no damage. Now, the other thing about Trump is dying of the coronavirus is absolutely going to be one of the theories that happens with his death, along with falling down an airplane, dying, disappearing, or they'll see him with a wounded head because of the hemorrhage, and then it'll look like he's dead, but then he'll go to the hospital and they'll get a miracle pill. See, Trump's not going anywhere. He's not going to ride off in the sunset. He has to come back for the 4-year term, but he has to turn into Jesus Christ in order for everybody to accept his presidency. Not that it matters if you're voting or not. It's not going to change anything. It's a script. But Trump's coming back. But also, because of the rapture happening 40 days later, see, a lot of people think that the rapture is just something that happens out of the blue, that you're not going to know. You don't know the day or the hour. I mean, well, everybody thinks that. But when you know that you truly don't know the day or the hour of anything except for God, because the day or the hour of any time that you get saved, only God knows when you are going to repent and turn to Him. That's just what it truly means. The ones that have the world script, you guys know the damn day and the hour of the rapture because you're playing it out. You know the day and the hour of when you're going to make that sun go down and not rise up again for 3 days. You guys know the day and the hour. But it doesn't make a difference because you're from the inside creating it. It makes more of a difference when somebody on the outside, like myself, can come up with the date and finally be right with it in the end. Because we're at the point where Harold Camping warned us about this on May 21st, 2011, that God's judgment was coming upon the earth, and it did. And here we are. There's a 7-year period and there's a 2-year period, but there's a 7 and of the 8th year period, which is 7 of the 8th full year, which leads you into the year 9, which is coming up May 21st, 2020. So because if you think it's going to start, this is the very beginning of it, and you don't believe what Harold Campbell was saying, or you just don't know any better, you're going to think that when this happens, man, like this is worldwide. It's such a script, but I try to take it serious. I try to think of it seriously. It's just hard to. I don't know. It's hard to. But everybody's shutting down, and it's really happening. God's judgment is on the earth. It doesn't matter if it's created by the elite, because Jonathan Kleck is working for God to get this to orchestrate it to happen. I am on the outside, and I agree with what's going on in the world because I know nobody's dying like that. You can say whatever. People dying in hospitals, they're attached. They got the coronavirus attached to them. It's just the way it is. When you run the entire government and you run the system, you tell people what to do. And there's people that will do exactly what you want them to do because of this. So if anybody dies, they're going to have the coronavirus attached to the name. And then you'll hear one of your friends or a family member or something will be like, oh my God, they really died. Well, maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. I just tend to believe the other story. I believe nobody's dying. The second 9/11, it's leaning towards the fact that nobody's going to die because they already have the streets cut off and stopped. And all they need is like an hour before they're going to do it. They just need an hour's worth of time to make sure nobody's around. And if so, just kind of make sure that they cause a diversion for people to get away. And then they can just go ahead with laser Johnny beams. The Johnny laser beams. They can just go ahead with that. So because we're at that time, and Harold Camping warned us about this, this is how I know it's going to happen. Only because we're at that time. But if I go back to my videos last year, it's the same. It's very similar with World War III being declared. You know, May 1st. I said May 3rd, Iran drops bombs last year. It's possibly the same because we can go into the 24th of May. That could be referred to as the first month, the 24th day of the first month, maybe, or the first month of April. But the true first month is going to be June 1st, because there's a 10-year tribulation period from May 21st, 2020 to May 31st, 2020. Now, for the sake of the elect, those days are going to be shortened. If that's not the days, well, then we're going 5 months all the way to October 21st. Do you want to hear that? Or do you want to hear that there's a 10-year period, a 10-year tribulation? Well, yeah, it's 10 years, but it's a 10-day tribulation period, literally. Even SJD told me before, a couple of years back when I talked to him on the phone, he's like, they can only keep you for 10 days. I'm like, how the hell do you know? Unless, unless you're going to be taking me in for 10 days in the end. But this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes because an excellent spirit was in him. And the king thought to set him over the whole realm. Then the presidents and princes, kleckites, sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom, so they just messed with his video for 4 times straight and then erased the other videos. He can't even watch it on his actual cell phone now, just to show him their power that they have. Or I'm just paranoid, schizophrenic. Then they sought to find occasion against Daniel, but they could not find any occasion nor fault, for as so much as he was faithful, neither was there an error or fault found in him. Then said these men, we shall not find occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against concerning the law of his God. These presidents and princes assembled together to the king, and said unto him, O Lord King Darius, live forever. All the presidents and kingdoms and governors and princes and counselors and captains have consulted together to establish a royal statute and to make a firm decree that whosoever shall ask a petition of any man for 30 days from May 1st to May 31st. I think the 30 days that Trump set up now, it's not the actual decree itself, it's the 30 days before the decree. We're on a 30-day delay. Because once the 30 days is up, it's the 21 days of Daniel. But it might be the 21 days of Daniel 10 days later. We're getting close. We'll know. I'll know when it gets here. But right now, man, the kleckites hate that. They hate that. You guys hate it, don't you? I don't know what to tell you, man. You know, I just don't know what to tell you. It ain't my fault. God gave me some understanding. I'm trying to deliver it for free. And there's a bunch of jealousy and hatred in your hearts. A lot of judgment. You got a lot of anger inside of you. Both of you's down. You 2 witnesses that are down. That's fine, because the way that you guys turn is by knowing for a fact, and the only people that know this are the ones that watch this channel right here. That's it. On planet Earth, that's it. I changed your boss's heart over the past 3 years by watching me on YouTube. Now, I'm not saying that I did everything perfectly right either. I made millions of mistakes. All these dates that I set didn't come true. The misinterpreting scripture, whatever. At least I was hot or cold and not afraid of the faces of the people, not afraid of your words, and just kept going day in and day out. Didn't stop. So your boss thoroughly appreciates that fact that it's true. You can hate on me all you want, but when your boss turns and flips the script and proves to you the broken promises, because you guys can tell what's going on here. That's why you're getting ready to make a decree. And then he's going to act like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Because he's playing you. He's playing you. And it's for your own good. Because you shouldn't be walking around this damn angry and this judgmental towards people. When I do it, I feel horrible afterwards and I try to stop. And if I don't stop, I'm probably going to get a grinder through my gut. Now, O king, establish the decree. Well, first they asked to sign a petition of any god or man for 30 days. Save you, O king, and he shall be cast into the den of lions. Now, O king, establish the decree and sign the writing that it be not changed according to the laws of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not. Wherefore King Darius signed the writing and the decree. Now when Daniel knew that the writing was on the wall, and when it was signed, when the writing was signed, because the writing is on the wall when that's signed. But I don't need to see an actual writing on a wall itself. He went into his house, and his windows being open in his chamber towards Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God, and he did aforetime. Then these men assembled and found Daniel praying and making supplication before his God. Then they came near and spoke before the king concerning the king's decree. Hast thou not signed a decree, Kleck, that every man that shall ask a petition of any god for 30 days, except for you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions? And the king answered and said, the thing is true, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not. Then they answered and said before the king, you know that Daniel, which of the children of the captivity of Judah, regardeth not you, O king, nor the decree that thou hast signed, but makes a petition 3 times a day. Then the king, when he heard these things, he was sore displeased with himself, because that's how he acted, like he was displeased, but because he set his heart on Daniel to deliver him, and he labored until the sun went down, the simulator, until it went down, and then it went back up 3 days later. It's either, I'm going to have to go with May 21st to May 24th, 2020, or May 28th to the 31st. Then these men assembled together unto the king, now that the law in the Medes and the Persians, that no decree nor statute which the king established may be changed. Then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions. Remember, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they're not with Daniel at that time. Now the king spoke unto Daniel, you know your God that you serve continually, he will deliver you. So when he was sorely displeased with himself, why? He already knows that God is going to deliver Daniel out of the lion's den. He just knew that it had to happen to appease his kleckites. That way they can see it, get happy, party, and then party's over. And a stone was brought and laid upon the mouth of the den, just like it was with Christ. And maybe this was a problem, I don't know, but when Christ was crucified, he was in his tomb for 3 days. He was in the belly of the earth. He was in the underground for 3 days. And then you got to notice that when Nicodemus and who was it, Joseph, I think it was, or was it Joseph only? It was somebody that was a disciple in secret, went and took his body and then wrapped him in fine linen and sprayed some nice cologne on him, and they went their way. So the stone was brought and laid upon the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet, and with the signet of his lords, that the purpose might not be changed concerning Daniel. Then the king went to his palace and passed the night fasting. Neither were instruments of music brought before him, and his sleep went from him. Then the king arose very early in the morning, like 2:30. I think it was the meeting time down at 1400 Cherry Street in Philadelphia, the day before the 9/11, because you guys got to go around, and I think you got to head up to Lincoln Financial Field. I could be fully, completely wrong, but it's just my interpretation, and I'll say it out loud. And when he had come to the den, he cried with a lamentable voice unto Daniel. And the king spoke and said to Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living God, is your God, whom you serve continually, is he able to deliver you from the lions? Then Daniel said unto the king, of course. Live forever, O king. My God has sent his angel, and has shut the lion's mouth, and they have not hurt me. For as much as before him innocence was found in me, and also before you, O king, I have done no hurt. Then the king was exceedingly glad for him, and commanded that they should take Daniel up out of the den, harpazo him up out of there. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no manner of hurt was found upon him, because he believed in his God. And the king commanded Darius, he wrote unto all people, nations, and languages that dwell upon the earth, peace be multiplied upon you. I make a decree, and this is the real decree, that in every dominion of my kingdom men tremble and fear before the God of Daniel, for he is the living God, I make a decree that in every dominion of my kingdom men tremble and fear before the God of Daniel, for he is the living God, and steadfast forever, and his kingdom that shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall be even to the end. He delivered and rescued, and he works signs and wonders in heaven and in the earth, who has delivered Daniel from the power of the lions. So this Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius and in the reign of King Cyrus, the Persian. At the same time, because there's an underground king, and then there's a above ground king. So you got Trump as the above ground king, and Kleck is the underground king. That's why they're playing similar roles. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream, and the visions upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matter. Daniel spoke and said, I saw a vision by night, because Nicodemus came to Christ at night, because he had to speak in parables because of the Pharisees and the demons that he employs. He has to speak in parables, in tongues. Daniel spoke and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heavens strove upon the great sea. And four beasts came up from the sea, diverse from one another. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings, which represents America. I believe, anyway. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted upon the earth. I mean, what I'm saying is, according to the world's script, that part is America. And made stand upon the feet as a man, kind of like we're relying on ourselves now. We're going to, China, Russia, whoever we deal with, trade, it's going to be right here. Don't we have all types of oil and stuff? We're not going to need oil anymore. Just make electric cars, and electric is free, and you just plug it in, And that's it. And behold, I beheld till the wings were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made to stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given unto it. And behold, another beast, the second, like a bear, and it was raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in its mouth. Of it, the bear, the beast, the bear cat, Kleck's bear group. I forget what was it the bear cat cars? It's the crisis actors. It's all you guys that set up and do these signs, miracles, and wonders. It's you guys. You're gonna have 3 ribs in your mouth because there's 3 in a row in Philly, right? You're gonna devour much flesh, like 7,000 men at least. And between its teeth 3 ribs, and they said unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. And this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl, like 4 in 1 hour. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. After this I saw the night vision, and behold, the 4th beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth that devoured and broke in pieces, and stamped the residue with its feet. And it was diverse from the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, who before there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head was like the pure wool. His throne was like fire, was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. I remember Steve tried to push that bicycle off as this. The fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. The fire proceeded out of the mouth, and thousands upon thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were open. I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spoke. I even beheld until the beast was slain, and his body was destroyed and given into the burning flame. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season at a time. I saw in the night vision, behold, one like the Son of Man came in the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him before him. And there was given unto him dominion and glory and kingdom, that all people, nations, languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that shall not be destroyed. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst